Hi, my name is Carl Pearson. I'm an attorney practicing law through a sole proprietor law firm owned by me alone. I'm preparing this video on April 4, 2020 with 276,000 reported coronavirus cases and 7,000 deaths in the United States as of April 3rd. I'm a Harvard Law School graduate and my law firm defends homeowners against residential 1 to 4 unit foreclosure actions. I'm 83 years old and to protect my life, I'm in fairly rigid self-imposed quarantine with no coronavirus symptoms and no tests, and have watched my law practice precipitously decline because of the coronavirus and the temporary cessation of new lawsuits in New York State. I have been a small business person for 74 years, since my paper route in North Platte, Nebraska at age 9, which I then did not understand was causing me to be a small business person. If I didn't collect the money, then I didn't get paid. And I am a believer in small business, as you will hear and see. There are, or until the past several weeks or so, 30 million small businesses in the United States, and I own one of them, which is my law practice, just so this is clear to you. With most individuals staying at home in virtual quarantine, corresponding layoffs on their equivalent for the self-employed and independent contractors, now in the millions, will soon reach a majority of all employees, small business owners, and independent contractors with almost no money coming in to buy food and pay the numerous monthly obligations created for and payable to worldwide monopoly-type interests. To save the economy from total collapse, which would take the nation's banks and monopolies down as well, there is a need to get money to most individuals in the U.S. so they can pay their obligations and thereby save the banks and monopolies that own most of the secured obligations. This seems to lead to two inevitable laws or rules to be enacted or created during the next 6 months or so. First is to have free medical care without deductibles, co-pays, and exclusions to eliminate the most common barrier for the poor, the unemployed, the underemployed, or undocumented immigrants to seek medical attention when they are threatened with coronavirus symptoms. Otherwise, they will be roaming freely in the public, spreading the virus unnecessarily. You can see the political issues now being discussed and how to accomplish the goal, when some of the needed votes have to come from politicians who do not believe that social distancing is needed, but at some time to be established, probably by the number of local deaths in a state, the objective will probably be obtained, but the goal line will already have moved to free health care for all because of the inability of most individuals in the U.S. to afford any medical costs at all by that time. Secondly, a universal guaranteed wage. Politicians are now struggling to make $1,200 payment to a restricted number of persons in the United States. And this effort is obviously failing because 1, too many individuals are left out. 2, the amount is insignificant in comparison to the $60,000 or so average drop in the average family annual income to be expected. And 3, the payment may come as late as 5 to 6 months for individuals who have no cash to cover expenses for more than 2 weeks at best. Also, there is the CARE Paycheck Protection Program, in which the banks and monopolies are being given $2 trillion immediately, and the 325 million rest of us have to apply for and possibly receive, if lucky, 3 to 6 months from now, a few $1,000s to replace the loss of far more, after it is too late for most of the 325 million to save themselves economically. The CARE PPP program for distributing about 1/6 of the $2.2 trillion to the 325 million of us is not going to be of much help to them, meaning us, and appears to be designed so that it will not work as promoted publicly at its enactment in March 2020. The obvious solution for the 325 million individuals, that means you and me, is to make a monthly payment to every individual of something like $2,000 or $2,500 so that the economy will have the money, the amount of spending it needs to survive and grow. This is what is going to happen, it seems to me, if we can survive the pandemic. The curve has not been bent as of today and doesn't appear that it is going to be bent in the next 2 months or so, which means that the total number of coronavirus cases could rise to perhaps 95% of the U.S. population. I hope not, but it is potentially that. And a very high death rate, with the U.S. itself as a land area up for grabs by other countries seeking space to expand. Perhaps China is interested for its population, which is 4.2 times the U.S. population of 325 million. It seems to, China seems to have contained the pandemic and for itself, and is the source for almost everything the U.S. needs right now. This is one of the reasons why the coronavirus is a national security issue. As a lifetime small business person, this is what I see as a result of the coronavirus pandemic and the country's failure to deal with it properly starting in February 2020 and even much earlier. I hope I'm wrong, but social distancing is, as of today, the only available remedy to spread out the use of hospitals, ventilators, doctors, nurses, staff, emergency personnel, and personal protection equipment, which, by the way, for your information, are face shields, gloves, goggles and glasses, gowns, head covers, masks, respirators, and shoe covers. As you may be aware, 6 states have still not adopted self-quarantine stay-at-home rules. A Wired magazine news story dated April 1, 2020 states, in Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, Oklahoma, South Carolina, and South Dakota, calls from public health experts to institute strict social distancing measures have largely fallen on deaf ears. End of quote. Vaccines and cures are being developed but are not here right now. This is my thinking on the topic, and I am aware of and keeping up with developments as to hydrochloroquine, trade name Plaquenil, and chloroquine, trade name Erelin. I'm now going to start thinking about my next video on matters of economic importance to small business owners, including sole proprietorships, the self-employed, and small business type independent contractors. Please let me know the topics you want discussed relating to our economic survival. And until my next video, so long.